Hi everyone. I wanted to go back through the last three circle meditations and give you the downloads that had come through in true transformation style, I guess is what I want to say. I've had a lot going on personally that has kind of kept me away from producing audio recordings and posting them. However, I think that these messages are still important, and while we're on our own timelines, this can hit really at any point in time as we move through and alchemize and change where we're at into this new era and this new wave. I don't think that it was specific to these months. I think these were messages that were coming through as they were starting to happen. So wherever this recording hits you, wherever this recording meets you, it's for you to hear. So I'm just going to break them up. There's three messages that are poignant that fold into each other, and then more will come as more healing sessions and healing circles through our group community. And I want to extend an invitation to you if you're ever interested to go ahead and join us. It's a really beautiful community, private and welcoming, and it's just a great time for you to take with yourself for an hour and connect on a deeper level and to get your own messages. So, with that, let's begin. In August, there was a vision of a thread of silver that's our core line, like our haro line. And it's the connection that we use that connects all of our chakras. It's what we use to ground, and it's the same thing that we use to connect into the cosmos. And as we're restructuring and rebuilding this core, this cord, what I saw were frayed edges that were sort of ruffling out from others. And they were pulling out of situations and pulling our attention and our energy, distracting us and taking us off focus. So you have this cord, and there's frayed edges that were starting to unravel us. And it was really in a sense of being able to almost trim away what doesn't serve us anymore and understanding that we need to maintain our focus and to watch what distracts us and to really be able to prioritize what is most important. It was able to give us an opportunity to see what we need to cut off, what we need to deal with, or distance ourselves from. So, again, our goal is to focus so that our own soul growth is able to move forward. And especially if you've been doing this inner work, you might have been seeing this, especially as we're going through these seasons now. It may be even more apparent of what is getting in the way of your goals. And you may even be noticing that you're shifting your goals. And that this cord, this core inside of you, this light that's shining brighter. And so, for those that haven't done the inner work, they're struggling more emotionally, and they may be grasping at you for help because this is their subconscious trying to understand what it is that they need to do. And even though we want to be able to help those around us, we also have to be willing and be responsible to take care of ourselves and knowing how to do that. And right now, um, we're all in different phases and levels as we're moving forward. So if you're feeling the need to go within and keep pruning and shredding things that are distractions for you, I would definitely encourage that because there's probably work that you're really needing to do out in the world. So as we continue to shift and evolve, we need to learn how to use these grounding tools to help understand how to balance our energy. And I might do that in a separate video. But understanding that this hara line, this core line of energy is for us so that we can strengthen it and be able to confidently move forward. And it's really so that we can start to identify our own meaning and purpose in our life. And as you expand and grow, that line within you will grow. And the purpose of any sort of quote unquote healing is that we have this container inside of us, which is our body, and we're making that a house that is clean and able to hold in this matter of light and our shadow. So it doesn't really matter where you're at, it's a matter of how you're going to really look to grow deeper into yourself and grow deeper into this expansion. So, grounding deeper into the earth, using deep breathing techniques to release tension, being able to pull up fiery energy and put them into your creative pursuits is going to be very beneficial. The way we want to take any sort of triggers, annoyances, and distractions is to alchemize that emotion and fuel it into something that is beneficial. I tend to go towards artistic and creative matters because I think it's the fastest way to get us into that beginner's mind, childlike mind, and get back into our passions and get back into something that we love so that we can continue to do the things that balance us out. Some things we have to do that are us being obligated to do, yet um, we want to do the fun things. So it's a way to balance. And it doesn't really matter what you do as long as you're shifting from any part of anger into passion. And that is a fine line, and it's really one side of the same coin. And it's learning how to be your own magician, your own alchemist, to be able to take that and fuel it properly, deal with it, and move through it so that you're not harboring any resentment, harboring anything that doesn't serve you, because that ultimately will lead to disease. So, the stronger that you can grow within, the more equipped you're going to feel when life starts to shift because you're strengthening this inner dialogue, this inner emotional tussle. You're able to ground, you're able to take your breathing, you're able to fuel that into your own passionate pursuits. You can bounce back pretty quickly. You're able to take the throws and the challenges that are coming towards you. That was really the message for August. Now I'm going to take a moment and get into what happened in September. This was really fascinating. These were all messages that were premeditated beforehand. And what I saw was this cloud formation that had the eye of God within a tornado. Lots of disruption from large to small, lots of uprooting people from one place to another. So huge, kind of like eye of the storm, picking people up and moving them across from one place to another, almost catapulting them, especially if you've been pruning and you've been doing some of this work and you've been seeing where the distractions lay and you've been focused more as much as you can. There's a lot of shifts changing, so it's not to say that shifts can change, but it's just understanding the focus of what is it that you need right now and being able to leap forward. So, in this meditation, there were these people that had been manifesting change, possibly radical change, and the universe was listening to this. And in a kind of surprise moment, not quite a tower moment, but a surprise moment, um, this shift was happening. So, it's difficult to experience anything that's usually unearthing something or changing and shifting your foundations, your structures, but this is ultimately what was being asked. When we pray for things, when we ask for things, when we manifest things, and we want something new, we sometimes forget or don't realize in order for that new to take place, what was built before was faulty or no longer serves us or we've outgrown it and that has to go. And sometimes if we want fast change, fast results, things have to shift pretty quickly. So we're looking at shifting through emotional loss and transition, but those that faced the change landed on greener grass. So let me go back through. So as this image of a tornado was whipping people through, there were some people that were bouncing on greener grass. They were landing on their feet because they had practiced how to handle challenge and change. They were disoriented for a bit, but then realized they were placed in a new direction, a better position, either one that was what they were hoping would be a dream come true or an unexpected pleasant surprise. Those that were also still in the tornado were afraid to leap and were caught in the swirl. So we always have a choice, right? When this shift and change is happening in our lives, we either hold on to what was or what is because we don't want to let it go because we're afraid to take that jump, or those that were willing to because they know there was something out, even if they didn't know exactly. Like no one knows what happens or where you're going to land in that kind of upheaval and change, thinking of a tornado. But because they had faith in their maker, they had faith in their selves and in what was going to hold them, they were able to have an unexpected pleasant surprise. And so, for those that landed on the ground but also had to recover from trauma of the experience, they also knew that they needed to let go and move forward. So, people jumping out of this tornado, landing on their feet, also still have to deal with the fact that they have to let go of what was. So, there's always trauma, there's always grief in the gratitude, in the growth. These are new paths that are being asked to forge. These are prayers that have been answered. Whether you understand what you ask for sometimes, these are prayers that have been answered to take new paths. And your courage to make this big leap, this big change, this big leap of faith is going to be rewarded. It's a long journey. And it's a new journey that's starting. It's a new era. We're starting to shift into a new era. So that's why I thought this was important. It doesn't really matter when you get this. This could go on for, years, years and years and years. And we may be feeling little bits of this as we keep moving forward. So when you're in these moments of transition and change, you're always able to decide how you're going to approach and handle the opportunities and the situations you're given. You go back to the tools that work, you update the tools that you need to make sure that you're being in alignment with yourself so that you know where you need to go. You're checking in with yourself. What do I need right now to move forward so that you can? But the goal is that you're moving forward. So then we get to October. So at this point now, that strand, that thread, that inner core, think of that like you can see it as silver, you can see it as gold, you can see it as whatever material that you need, but it's this connective tissue, this very strong connection that you have to the cosmos. And again, this is also what we use to anchor. It's starting to come together, and it was looking more like a DNA strand. What I'm seeing here is that we're rebuilding our DNA structure, we're recoding our ancestral makeup. You are the dreams of your ancestor. You're recreating and reshaping what will be in the future. You're rebuilding yourself and your lineage. So, again, this is like 3 months of understanding it now, kind of being able to look back. It's pretty powerful. We're building something stronger, and we're rebuilding these roots of who we are, and we're really breaking old chains and reconstructing new ones. And I think that's really important to understand because a lot of heartache is breaking conditions. People aren't understanding, family members don't understand, friends don't understand. This is a long game. This is a long game of lots of conditions and programmings that have to be broken, little by little. We would melt if we had to do this all in a really short amount of time. So what we're trying to do now is, as we go through understanding who we are, understanding our purpose, we're coming together, we're building ourselves stronger. This is the beginning of that. So there have been or will be more fractures in our lives that give us guidance to become more aware of what thoughts, beliefs, narratives, relationships, and environments that no longer serve us. We're carving new paths. We're pioneering a new way. We're pioneering a new spiritual mindset and mentality for future generations to be set up. The work that you are doing, whether you have actual um, lineage coming through you or you are just a representative in your community, you affect the lives around you. The work that you do is important. You are here for a reason. Okay? So that as you start to prune and make sure that everything is always in your highest good and you're serving those around you, however that may be, you're building a stronger new DNA. So this process does take time to rebuild, but we're more aware of it than we were before. We're able to communicate what's going on and what we're doing. And those that seek inner development have a really unique opportunity to reconstruct their lives and rewrite their Akashic records. It's really fantastic. Think of DNA as also like a fabric of threads woven together. And while you have free will and you have free choice, there are some things that are written and there are some things that are moldable. And the more conscious that you are aware of it, the more conscious that you can also kind of rewrite the past. But well, that's another conversation, but you're rewriting your present as you're going into your future. And you're taking parts of your past lives into this one. So we're starting to blend and weave. There's some inner child work that can be done right now as well, so that you're going back and you're reparenting the things that you didn't get as a child, and you're bringing your inner child into your future, and you're recreating what will be a future for you. And that is a true alchemist, to bring more of an authentic and truer self here. And how will you know? How will you know that this is happening? There's going to be an innate feeling like that of an inner child. You're going to get these nudges. You're going to have this inner guidance. You're going to be more clear about what that guidance is because you're tapping into what would my childlike self be? And this is very different than being not childish behavior, but what would satisfy that 5-year-old within you if I were to look to do something past the obligation, something into my passions, into something that I'm truly interested in doing. So when you follow those nudges and that inner guidance and that pulls you towards something, it doesn't always have to make sense, right? That's our logical mind trying to control something that just intuitively, innately feels good. And so sometimes if we can, and all times really, if we learn how to balance those two and know how to capitalize and act on those nudges that we get, our lives are going to be more interesting. And as I can just speak from my own experience, when I do those things, and they don't make sense at the time, and I might think I have to do other things instead, even though it all gets done, I follow those guidance, those inner guidance, that inner child intuition to do that thing, and it pays off in the future because I've somehow carved out that time. It was the right time to do it. I was inspired to do it, and it's sort of like prepared me for something in the future. I was going to say prepackaged, but it was like a preparation for something I didn't know was coming and that I could pull out of my back pocket and say, "Oh, I have this. I did this thing, or I did this bit of research, or I investigated into this area that now I see why I need it for the future." So this could go on more intensely for the next couple of months, probably into the next year. And I think this is just the inner work that we want to continue to do and carve out. And also understand what doesn't fit, what's been blocking you, and how to shift it, even if it's by 1 degree. There may be a little bit of fatigue that comes with this, so resting is also quite pivotal to the creative process. And usually, in rest, when your mind is quiet, you get the most insightful ideas. And you can kind of go back to any of the large thinkers in the world, philosophers, even Einstein took many, many hours just to sit and think and just be and just let things drop in. You may not know why you're fatigued, even if you aren't outwardly active, but usually, if you're going through a lot of emotions, if you're going through a lot of thoughts, the body is working. So don't discount any of that rest or that work or just that being in stillness because it is what you need. Listening to your body is going to be very, very key, always. Um, the effort that you put, or anything that you do, you want to make sure that you're honoring yourself and you're giving yourself time to rest so that when you are ready to take action, you have the energetic fuel that you need. So it's definitely a balance between knowing, just knowing and listening and honoring and acknowledging and being able to put up boundaries and being able to say yes to things and no to things that you don't need. So this is where we're at. We're starting to cultivate something really, really important in our lineage, pioneering into new genetic dispositions and behaviors. I look forward to seeing you in some of these circles, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of these messages that have come through. And if they resonate with you, don't forget to hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Thank you.